All right, so what I want to do next with you guys is I want to walk through the top 5 destinations of where James Harden might land or where he's asked to be considered to be traded to. Obviously, nothing's set in stone right now, and Philadelphia kind of is the leader, and that's where we'll start. But I drew up a couple trades, and I want y'all's opinion on them. All right, so we will start with Philadelphia. In this trade, all Philly gets is James Harden, right? In return, the Rockets would get Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, and Tyrese Maxey, along with, obviously 2 or 3 first-round picks or maybe pick swaps in there. But just off of the players you would get, what do you guys think of that return for James Harden?
Now, Harris. Listen, I think if you're going to deal James Harden, I think Philadelphia is the clear trade partner there because I think one, Simmons is a top 15 player. He's an all defensive player. He has just IQ through the roof. Can score in the paint. Can't shoot, but hey, listen, I think he can develop that. He's only 24 years old. You get him in with John Lucas. Just have him just be locked in the gym and just shoot with like with a gun to his head and make sure he like starts hitting threes. But I think that's the only because that he's truly like a young star in the NBA. And so we saw like LeBron, which he's been compared to many times. LeBron didn't develop his jumper until like later in his like I'd say like early 30s, later 30s. Now he's just a knockdown shooter for the Lakers. But I think Philly is the actual like the only reasonable team that you can trade Harden to. But obviously, I think we all don't want to trade Harden. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that Ben Simmons is the best player that's been mentioned in any trade talks by far. Because as I agree with you, he is a top 15 player. He has the most potential of any player that has been mentioned in any trade talk with James Harden in terms of is this guy ever going to turn into something actually worth being the star of an NBA team? And Ben Simmons is the closest thing we've heard about that. Plus, I think getting guys, if you're able to snag Matisse Thybulle, who is a defensive superstar in the making, that guy it would be amazing on the defensive end, especially if the Rockets invest in him long term. I think he can actually be something very good. And then also getting Tyrese Maxey that the Philadelphia just drafted. I think that helps out with your point guard depth behind Ben Simmons, behind John Wall. Really, that guy can grow into something special, I think, if he's in the right system, along with also whatever draft picks you're getting, I think also make an impact. But another team that's been brought up is obviously Brooklyn, and we've detailed that trade before. I don't think anyone here thinks that getting 3 B level players or even B minus C pluses for James Harden's draft pick is really worth any return. So I want to go over 2 teams that I really drew up that I really want y'all's opinion on, and that is the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat. And so I'll start with Denver because this is the team that I actually think that if James Harden is to get traded, I think it should be to the Denver Nuggets just because of the young talent that they have. So I'll detail the trade I've drawn up so far. So one, Rockets have to be getting Michael Porter Jr. back in this trade, and I also have them getting Bol or RJ Hampton, one of those 2 in return. Now, for salary matching purposes, they would have to include either Gary Harris and Will Barton to this trade, and I don't know how that would affect draft picks, but just off that trade, I think this makes a little bit more sense because you get a guy in Michael Porter Jr. that has shown superstar potential, might grow into that. You also get Bol as well as 2 veterans in Will Barton and Gary Harris that can immediately contribute, as well as an assortment of draft picks. What are you guys' initial thoughts on that trade?
Um. So I'm assuming in any type of Harden trade, you're obviously going to have to include PJ Tucker as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we made a trade with Denver, we'd also have to give up PJ. But I like Michael Porter Jr. a lot. So we would put him at like what, power forward, or could he play small forward?
I think it depends on where Christian Wood is in that
Yeah.
debate. Because he'd probably play power forward. Bruno Caboclo could play power forward. Michael Porter Jr. I mean, he would play either one of those 2, small forward or power forward.
Yeah, no, I really like what you're getting back there. In terms of Gary Harris or Will Barton, I always tend to go on the side of youth, so I'd probably go with Gary Harris. Although Will Barton is, he's another energy guy, pretty much. He's like a David Nwaba, can come off and like, definitely better scorer, but he's another energy guy that I wouldn't mind getting back. But No, I actually that's not a bad trade at all. I really like it. So yeah, I'm not opposed.
Yeah. No, it's not even close. I mean, if you're going to trade with Denver and you're not going to talk about Jamal Murray or Jokic, then don't even call the Rockets. I mean, like it's blasphemous to even consider that. One, I mean, the Nets started offer of Dinwiddie, LeVert, and 3 first-round picks is better than that bogus you just drew up.
I think you'd be getting Jared Allen in that
Me?
too. But
Are you
still.
kidding me? You're telling me you'd rather have Michael Porter Jr., Bol or RJ Hampton versus LeVert than Woody 3 picks and Jared Allen. Either way, both of those are just unrealistic if you're not going to include superstar talent. You said Ben Simmons was the closest that most high caliber player we've talked about, but even Ben Simmons isn't close enough to what we're talking about when you value Harden, who is easily unanimously a top 5 player in the NBA right now. And in my mind, the best player you could probably have if you're building a team aside from, I mean, it probably is, like you talk about Giannis, you talk about some young guys like Luka, et cetera. But the fact of the matter is that Harden been leading the league the last 3 years in scoring. It's not even close. And it's the way that he will carry any team he's on. It's what he'll do for the franchise that, if we trade him, whoever he trades to, you have to be getting not just all-star talent back. You have to be getting way more than that because, the Rockets should not, any trade that, you got to include Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Bol if you even want to talk about Harden. Like, it should not, like, if you don't, I mean, that's how it should be.
Speechless. You're literally speechless about it.
I mean, say you guys are considering just trading Harden for Bol and Michael Porter Jr. I'm like, oh God, man.
I'm pretty high on Michael Porter Jr. because I think he can turn into a really good star.
I love
but
MPJ.
yeah,
Don't get me wrong.
I definitely see your point there. And James Harden is a walking 50 wins a season. Just if you have him on it, you could put Harden on. I don't care. You put him on the Hornets, they'd win 50 games. I'm telling you, he's that great of a player. And I just hate how disrespected he gets in the media. It's ridiculous. And so, yeah, hopefully we hang on to Harden. Hopefully we can get his trust back. And honestly, no. I've gone to bat for James Harden. I've gone to bat for James Harden so much these 8 years on Twitter, and I've gotten suspended, banned from Twitter numerous times for this man. And he's basically what he did this offseason was just spit in the face of Houston Rockets fans, and I haven't forgotten it. So I'm hoping, he can make up for it a little bit. I'm hoping, but
he put his back out there.
Just an idiot.
Boy Westbrook came in with fucking COVID and a torn quad and lit up the Rockets for 7 turnovers and 3 L's that we just handed the Lakers and let them.
So I'm so glad Westbrook is off this team. It's just
I love Westbrook. Now he was solid. It was unfortunate. He was playing really, really well pre-COVID. Since the start of the 2020, he was honestly playing like an MVP, averaging like 39 and 8. It was unbelievable after we traded Capella, how well Westbrook was playing. But yeah, it was unfortunate when the playoffs came around and what happened. And yeah, now we'll see with our boy John Wall, which I think we're all pretty excited about, and that first round pick. We'll see how that turns out. But kind of change up the scenery. And honestly, Westbrook won it out, and if he won it out, I guess this was our best out that we had.
All right. So, Rourke, I've got one more trade, and I hope that this hits a spot where you think about it a little bit more. All right, and this is with the Miami Heat. So, in my last trade, I've got Harden and Tucker, right? Harden and PJ going to the Heat. In return, the Rockets get Andre Iguodala and Kelly Olynyk for salary matching purposes. They would also get Bam and Tyler Hero. And I would also assume a couple added draft picks. Now, this is your boy, Tyler Hero, and Bam Adebayo, who I know through fantasy basketball you've got a soft spot for. So, if the Rockets get called by the Miami Heat, we're going to give you Bam, Tyler Hero, Andre Iguodala, a fan favorite amongst the 3 of us, Kelly Olynyk for the stretch white man shooting, just because, hell, we love it. And we get a buttload of draft picks. Are you saying yes?
No. I'm not saying yes. If Harden came to my front office, I'm the GM, and he said, "You better trade me. I'm going to sit out." First, I still wouldn't trade him. But if I had to trade him, if it got to the point where I had to trade him, that I think could be the most appealing offer. I would weigh that or the Sixers. It'd come down to, I think, yeah,
I think
it'd be interesting to have Bam
and Tyler
Yep.
Hero.
Yeah, Hero's still, really, really young. I think, Ben Simmons. I would take the Heat offer over the Sixers or the Nuggets. I think you have the two superstar potential with Bam and Tyler Hero. But I would still much rather prefer Harden. But if we had to trade him, that would be.
But
yeah,
I think Bam is a top 5 center in the league. To be honest with you.
The way he can distribute and help create in the offense, it really stands out. It doesn't stand out a whole lot on the stat sheet, but that is what why I actually really like him. Leading the Heat in assists. You wouldn't think, but they run their offense through the elbow. High screen, high pick and roll, or just dishing out to him and letting him create for other people. So I think Bam, and just coming off his second year. Already an all-star. He's going to be very, very good, I think.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this snippet of our podcast, make sure you like the video and leave a comment on your thoughts on the topic we talked about below. Now, also, make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. Also, if you want to watch the podcast in its entirety, you can find us on Spotify, which is linked in the description below with our Instagram and our Twitter and our TikTok, which you should all be following. Now, all you have to do is click the link below. Thank you again for watching, and we cannot wait to see you next time.